So if I search online, what's the greatest bass line of all time? What's gonna be number one? What I'm gonna do is type into the search engine and we're gonna click the first list. Then I'm gonna break down the number one bass line today and tell you what makes it great. And you know how we do it on here, it's gonna be a very detailed breakdown. So the number one bass line on this list today is... what a classic. Before we break it down, let's talk a little bit about the background of Good Times. Good Times is a disco soul song by American R&B band Chic from their third album in 1979. It was written by the iconic duo of Nile Rodgers and Bernard Edwards. The bassist was Bernard Edwards. We're going to be zoning in on why he was such a beast today. Good Times became one of the most sampled tunes in music history. You might know it from Rapper's Delight by Sugar Hill Gang. We're really going to focus on the main iconic bass line. So are you ready? Let's go. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to listen to a little bit of the live track, and then we're going to isolate the bass track, and I'm going to play it. We're going to do that all. I reached out to one of my students on Bass Freedom, and they sent me this really cool live track. Apparently, it's one of Bernard Edwards' final performances before he passed. So if that's true, this is crazy, and it's an awesome live track. Let's dive into it. What I noticed is just like all live tracks, it's not the exact same as the studio recording. So let's take a look. Super funky. Bernard's got the Stingray. I got my Stingray today too. All right, Chic is awesome live. Sounds just like the track, but as I said, there's a couple little different things that's going on here. I'm hearing more slides, more ghost notes, and more added fills. Before we can look at anything extra he's doing, let's look at the main line. So for this iconic bass line, there's two chords that are happening. It's E minor to A. That's it. So if you want to learn bass lines like this, or understand chord progressions like this, or learn anything of this funky nature quickly, you need to know the why behind it. So the most important thing that you must know about this song and about this bass line especially is that it is a Dorian scale. What's a Dorian scale? Simply put, Dorian is a minor scale. There's multiple minor scales, but Dorian is very common in funk and jazz and some other genres. Some may think of it as a mode of the major scale, but in my opinion, that can be confusing for aspiring musicians. All you need to think of this scale is one note different from the natural minor scale. The flat sixth becomes a natural sixth. One note difference. From this one note difference, it's essentially the bass line. Check this out. So before I go into the next chord, I've played up the Dorian scale, literally. Again, the natural minor scale has the flat six. Just raise it. Since I made it known that Dorian is very common in funk and jazz and all that stuff, how do we know when to use it or when it's happening? Two things. First thing, you just got to look for that natural sixth in comparison to the flat sixth. Or is the progression outlining it? E minor to A was Good Times progression, right? So we have this minor one chord. When you see a four chord that is major, that screams Dorian. So E minor to A is definitely a Dorian sound. Over time, once you're able to visualize your fretboard more and know more about keys, this will make more sense. I've taught a lot of my students on Bass Freedom Dorian through this song. Now let's talk a little bit about the rhythm. So the notes are very staccato, which means very short. You have to sacrifice some technique to accommodate for this short sound. Listen to how I'm playing my E. I'm using my left hand to catch the string immediately to shorten the note. Even if I have to sacrifice technique, I'm doing this because it sounds good. It is mimicking what we hear Bernard doing. Then we just walk up the Dorian scale, but there's some really unique rhythm to this, some syncopation. So let's see, where does the bass line start to break away from traditional rhythm and add that funkiness to it? It's the pickup into the second measure. So we have this 1, 2, 3, 4 E and The of 4 E and is where the bass line is picking up into that next measure. This is super funky. You need to learn how to acknowledge every beat of the measure. So you have that 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and With me, 1, 2, 3, 4 E and 4 E and So same with the next measure. If you can feel the 4 E and you can play good times. This is the key to syncopation and funkiness, is being able to kind of play every part of the measure. Let's look at the second chord. When it goes to A, we're still playing within this key, but there's a couple few cool things here. So over A, we're hitting this 4th and 5th fret, which is still in the key of E. But something I've noticed is Bernard live tends to slide into it, and in the studio, he tends to play it without the slide. That's what I like about these tunes. It's just a textural thing. It sounds the same. Do what you want. So we got a little time to shine there live. He's such a good player. It just feels so effortless for him. There's also a few different ways you could play this, of course. You can walk up the scale however you want. You could walk up without any shifting. Bernard tends to shift a little. Again, sacrifice the technique for that sound. I really use my hand guarding that E, so it gives it that short staccato sound. So if you notice, there's a ghost note in here, and live he's playing a lot of ghost notes. A ghost note is essentially when you just play the string and there's no pitch, so it creates a percussive sound. By muting a string and playing it, it creates this thud, ghost, dead sound that contributes to funky music. It's funny, even in this live track, it's really popularly sampled by Sugar Hill Gang, the rapper's delight. They even do that in the middle of their song. Shows how popular the cover was.
I said the hip hop, the hip hop, we don't stop. I rock it to the bang, fella boogie, say up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie to be. And now what you hear is not a test, cause I'm rapping to the beat. And me, the groove, and my friends are gonna try and move your feet.
So I've only broke down 4 measures, 2 chords. Again, recapping so you get it in your head. We're just playing E minor to A. It's just walking up the Dorian scale, which is just one note different from the minor scale you may know. It has very staccato, short note approach. The rhythm is funky, mostly from that 4E and which gives it that nice sound that is so common in funk music. And then the muffling, sacrificing of technique so you can try to sound like Bernard. Bernard Edwards was an incredible bassist. Know how to play this tune, and good luck. This was absolutely worthy of the #1 spot. I appreciate you watching this video. Don't forget to give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more. I recommend you watching this video, which is another incredible bass line that I broke down about ABBA's bass player. I had no clue it was this awesome. So check it out, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!